just, I don't want to be outcasted. And this, not wishing to be outcasted, is very much attachment to this life. Because if Tibetans, if it's my colleagues, if my Tibetan fellow Tibetans or Chinese or I don't know whoever, if they talk behind, if they say bad things about me, then I will lose my disciple. I might lose my friends, and I might not get a job. So there is so much fear. There's so much of, serving myself only. So as the suitcase is actually not so bad. Because at least it's a suitcase. And in fact it's a second hand. So it's also helping environment and all that. But this, and hypocrisy is an incredible, subtle, and so, it is just amazingly efficient. Hypocrisy. This is one challenge that I personally have. By the way, the Lodong Shenpa Shida teaching is actually, as I said, it's a Dhamma, it's a Menga, pit instruction. And one of the most important part of the pit instruction is, in the Kadamba tradition, is called Dhamma Sangru, meaning we expose the fault of practitioners ourselves. We must. And I'm taking this 8 days as a chance to expose myself as much as I can. I will definitely keep quiet with a lot of other things. A lot of other things there also. If you have heard things that's dodgy about me, consider 99% they are true. 99% they are true. Humility is it can become such a efficient game. We Tibetans, we play this a lot. I have successfully managed to exercise my hypocrisy of not wanting to have the name like His Holiness. HH, lots of this HH. I just don't understand why these Tibetan monks, they love these high thrones and His Holiness and all of that. I have to tell you, I'm telling you blatantly here. The Tibetan lamas are so much into this, and especially Gagyupa lamas and the Nyingma lamas, I find that they are quite into these, high thrones, His Holiness and stuff like that. You can quote me elsewhere, really. You can quote and you can print that I said so, and I will confirm that. I'm not worried about that. There are just so many His Holiness these days. Especially when you go in Taiwan. The room is full of His Holiness. It's ridiculous, things like that. Now that's one thing. I want to turn the table 180 degrees. For many years I was critical towards high throne, His Holiness this, His Holiness that. About a few years ago, something struck me. And I felt really kind of embarrassed myself because, wow, these Tibetans, lamas, who just are, in my very, very limited perception, trying to sit on the highest throne, competing for it and having this name, in a way, they have much less hypocrisy than myself. They are not even pretending that they don't want. That is actually much more honesty. So this is why I was asked. Recently I was teaching in India, and I was teaching a group of Krishnamurti students. And my nature is, my character, as you may, some of you know very well, but some of you are beginning to realize that one of my hobbies is poking people. Always poking, making them a little bit annoyed or whatever. So I was, teaching to the Krishnamurti students, I took the chance of really, like how I don't like Krishnamurti, and how I really love Osho, Rajneesh. And I was telling them, I admire Osho Rajneesh so much because, to me, if somebody gave me one Rolls Royce, I'll be very happy. But if somebody gives me 49 Rolls Royce, my hypocrisy will come in and say, no, I want to be humble with one Rolls Royce. Because 49 Rolls Royce makes you look stupid. But yet, I thought Rajneesh was quite brave to have 49 Rolls Royce. That's, in one way, you can say there is a lack of hypocrisy there. Anyway, I'm giving you an example of having attachment to this life. Is, really, it's not something as simple as resigning the job, giving up your family, jobs, possession, giving up your, gold-plated teeth. It's not just as simple as that. Giving up attachment to this life really involves a lot of things. In my case, I have to really watch this hypocrisy. Anything that builds your nest comfortable. You have a nest. We are always building, nest. Anything that contributes fortifying this nest is attachment to the life. So, just because you will shave your hair, becoming monk, not necessarily automatically you will end up abandoning attachment to this life, because the hair and attachment has got nothing much in common. Hair gets without shaving, it gets it disappears. It does not mean that attachment disappears. We will again, of course, come back to the abandoning the attachment to this life again. So, as Jizunrupi Thakur said, what do we do now? What do we do in order to pursue this path of abandoning the attachment to this life? What do we do? We have Chutimdam, Kyotam Gombasum, Sendilan, but Chuminji Shola, Chabami Bishola. 정말 수dim체에서는 도리주비서 타버주비 경계진 동안봉인 거죠. 수dim남에 한매도돼 센디다 신비 수dim 최제주비서 수dim년에 시험에 수dim되는 타버죠. 장미 수dim 뭐죠. 년도주비서인지 죄미 수dim 전에서. And to support everything what I was just saying, this is clearly spoken by Jiren Vichravachan here. First, one needed discipline in order to really combat with this attachment to this life. One needs discipline. And we talked about the discipline a little bit yesterday. We talked about the discipline within the context of general discipline, like this is such a big subject. As many of you would know, we have been recently suffering with the economic downturn, credit crunch and all that. See, credit crunch. Where does that come from? Lack of discipline. The modern world is so diligent and efficient in destroying your discipline. A very simple example is the cash and the credit card. When you have a cash, at the least there is a more chance that you have a discipline, because it sort of goes out. But the credit card, no, because you don't see the cash, but it's running somewhere. Discipline is difficult in the modern world. Like just now, the big example that I gave you. Our society is not helping us. The television doesn't help us. Advertisement doesn't help us. Our education, the modern education, is never really pro-discipline. It's actually to make you want more, make you think that you need this, you need that. Like the iPhone and the cover for iPhone. You are always forced to think that you need this, you want this. You need this, yeah, that's what they make you think. So, in this midst of all this, discipline is going to be difficult. Not only collectively, individually. To live abundantly, again, if we talk about, living in abundance and kind of more flexible way, we don't really have to go to the shopping and think and buy things as if you are going to live another 1,000 years. No one has kind of managed to live longer than 150 years maybe. That may be the longest. Not even that. Most of us, we die much earlier. 90, 80. So if we think in this term, really, most of the things that we buy, most of the things that we build, most of the things that we plan is not really necessary. And this comes because there's a lack of discipline. So, if you are talking about the general discipline, even the mundane, secular, worldly discipline is very important. In fact, this is what is taught by the great social thinker, should I call them, like Confucius, like in India maybe books like Arthashastra by Chanakya. they are to really have a framework of how to have a content, wealthy, and not dysfunctional life. Now, in the spiritual path, we are aiming higher. We are not only looking for a functional society, functional family, wealth, health. We are aiming for enlargement. And especially in the Mahayana path, we are not only aiming enlargement for ourselves, but we are aiming enlargement for everyone, every being. So, therefore, a much more profound level of discipline is absolutely necessary. So, here, as in many other commentaries, I will take the chance to talk about the refuge, because the discipline fundamentally in the Buddha Dharma, the most precise and most concise form of discipline is disciplining oneself by taking refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. And I don't want to go too intellectual here, but it is important, if you are serious in pursuing this spiritual path, you also take the vow of refuge, such as what we did just now before we began our teachings. We did Sanje Chodam Soji Sonam Chanchu Padadani Japsichi. So we take that kind of vow. Vow is important. If you have a vow, you accumulate merit a lot faster. I will give you one example. Let's say we human beings, we have not taken a vow. Okay, let's say many of us, we have not taken a vow. People, we have not taken. Many of us, many human beings don't take vows of not killing. Not killing. So they don't kill. See, people don't go at the moment. At this morning, maybe outside, inside here, we don't go around killing people or killing animals. But if you have not taken a vow, it doesn't mean that you are accumulating merit. You are not killing anybody because you just don't have a time, or you don't have the energy, or you don't have the weapons to kill, or it's too boring anyway. It's too hassle, so much hassle, so why do it? So, you don't have a bad karma, you don't have a good karma, you have nothing. You're just not killing, that's all. But for someone like here, maybe most of you, like the bhikshus here, you have taken a vow, I shall not kill, as part of the, part of the vow of refuge. From then on, once you have taken the vow, from then on, every second, every moment when you don't kill, such as while you are dozing off, you are accumulating the merit. And this is why the vow is quite important. But anyway, going back to the discipline. So, the discipline is the foundation. And in order to generate this, to discipline ourselves, there are many methods of disciplining oneself. But everything can be abbreviated and concise into taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Once you take refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, wholeheartedly from the depth of your heart, without any doubt, you will be most of the other discipline will automatically, easily emerge. This is why refuge, practice of the refuge, in all the Buddhist traditions, not only in the Mahayana or the Vajrayana, in the Shavakayana, everywhere, the first thing you do is take refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Okay, there are three causes of taking refuge. There are three reasons why one would take refuge. One is fear. The first one is the fear. The second is devotion or trust. The third is the compassion. If you want to talk about a hierarchy, the last one, later ones are the higher motivation. With fear, you take refuge. You can take refuge. That's that's very, what do you call it? The lesser motivation. Refuge, refuge, as much refuge, again in the English word refuge, can be, we may have overused it again. Refuge, among many other things, refuge has a connotation of acceptance. Acceptance. Because generally, the refuge is like surrendering. Like if you are afraid of getting burnt by the sun, then you take refuge under the umbrella. But Jamro, or the Buddhist practice of refuge, has more connotation of acceptance. Acceptance. For instance, no matter what, all compounded things are impermanent. No matter what, all compounded things are impermanent. That was spoken by the Buddha. That's why it's called, teaching, the Dharma. But whether it is spoken by the Buddha or not, doesn't matter. In the Prajnaparamita Sutra, Buddha said, whether the Buddhas have come or not, the reality of the phenomenon doesn't change. All compounded things are impermanent. This fact or this truth, if you can accept, that's actually really the ultimate, that's actually sort of real, or I don't know, how shall I put it, that's actually taking refuge. When you can accept that, that's on the sort of much more sort of profound level.